Jones said this move will help Dak Prescott, who struggled with interceptions this past year. Here's Jerry.
I'm still very strong, I'm very strong on Dak. This whole thing reflects the upside that I feel in Dak. The fact that we're doing this, Mike's calling the plays, this has everything to do with the positiveness around Dak. It's building around Dak.
Do you address Dak's deal now? I mean, with the number, I know we talked before that it's something that you would look at or could look at.
Yeah, I think you can look at it, absolutely. I mean, it's not, do we do it or not? I mean, it takes two parties to talk. The bigger thing for us is Dak's going to be our guy for the next, hopefully, 10 years.
There's your headline. Dak's going to be our guy for the next 10 years. And so, Dan Graziano, as a reporter, this is something that I'm sure you would agree with. It's something that I've learned over the many years. In sports, pay no attention to what they say. Just look at what they do.
Oh, yeah.
So when he says Dak's going to be our guy going forward into the future, what they do potentially in the next few weeks will go a long way towards determining if they really mean that.
It's like all the president's men. Follow the money, right? That's it. So he's signed for 2 more years. 1 year has guaranteed money this year. The next year does not. His cap number this year is $49 million, 49.1. So they would like to lower that. There are 2 ways they can do it. One is to give them an extension that would lower it and lock him in for several years. The other would be to restructure it. They have 2 void years in the contract after 2024. You could dump some of the money into that, just sort of delay the cap hit. If they did that, that would tell you they're a little uncertain, right? They want to keep him for the next couple of years, but maybe not commit long term. If they extend him, they're committing long term. If they do nothing and they carry that $49 million cap hit this year, then you'll know he's playing for his job.
And so that is the circumstance in Dallas. Damian Woody, I'm making your dream come true. I'm making you the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh,
as of right now, you're the one making this decision. Are you doing what Dan's talking, extension, pay him, Dak's my guy going forward for the next 5-6 years, no questions asked? Are you doing it?
After the worst season that he's had in his pro career, I'm not doing that right now. We got the head coach who's now the play caller. He got rid of the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. The quarterback's coming off the worst year he's had in his pro career. Why am I doing an extension right now? Okay, I'm not doing that right now. I need to see how this whole thing is going to come about.
We're having a little trouble with your microphone there, D. Wood. So we're going to have someone come out. We're going to get you a microphone here to help you out. Bart, the same question to you. Do you believe the Cowboys should be viewing this as we've got our guy into the future, no ifs, ands, or buts?
They're going to do the extension because they need the salary cap relief. Because what they realized is that Dak is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, right? And so now you can have this open conversation with Dak Prescott. We try to give you the lion's share of the salary cap, and this is what you've given us. We have to give ourselves options, much like they did when they realized that Dak needed help because he wasn't a guy that was Burrow or Mahomes, right? He wasn't a guy. He needs help. That's why they made the trade for Amari Cooper. I think they realized that. They're going to get some salary cap relief because I think they let Ezekiel Elliott go. They need to make a move to get another star opposite CeeDee Lamb. And now you can have this open conversation with Dak Prescott. If you're going to be a good quarterback, we have to put better pieces around you. The only way we can do that is if you give us a team-friendly deal.
And you know what I'm going to say? If I'm Dak Prescott, if you somehow put me in a position where I could become open to talking to other teams, someone's going to offer me a hell of a lot more money than you are. So why is he taking less than that?
It's not less. He's going to get more money, but his annual value, the same way they gave him extension and we thought, oh, Dak's locked down.
Yeah.
Now he's only locked down. We realize it's basically a 2-year deal. Listen, the devil's in the details. There's always ways. Don't pay attention to the end number of somebody's money. Pay attention to the guarantees.
I'm saying in a world in which I've got people openly speculating that Daniel Jones is going to get a contract that's worth between $40 and $50 million a year. If I'm Dak Prescott, Dan Graziano, why would I take anything less than that?
Right, and he wouldn't. And if you remember, which I'm sure you do, when we used to talk about the Dak Prescott extension before it was done.
Right.
The issue was he wanted the shorter deal and they wanted the longer deal, right? Because that helps them allocate salary cap money.
Yes.
This is why he wanted it. He's in a good position right now. They either have to extend him or he gets to look at possibly being a free agent sometime soon. So they did this deal and they structured it the way they did with an eye toward eventually extending him this offseason. So they effectively got their longer-term deal, and he got some degree of cost say in how much he's going to make.
But he didn't really close the deal. He didn't play at an elite level.
Well, right.
And the reality is, Mike McCarthy calling the plays, he's run out of people to fire. And it's funny that Dan Quinn quickly shut down head coaching rumors because he sees an opportunity that if Mike McCarthy fails next year, he's going to be the next head coach of the Cowboys, and he may want to decide to start over and get his own quarterback.
He may, but the reason, like you say, Dak didn't close the deal. This is why he did a good deal, right? Like he's still in a position
he had
of strength,
leverage,
even though he didn't play to the absolute top.
Here's the bottom line, D. Wood, because it's one thing to say Dak didn't play great, which he clearly did not. It's another thing to say I can name 10 guys I'd rather have as my quarterback in the NFL. I'm not sure that it's easy to do that, D. Wood.
Dak still has all the leverage.
All of it.
No.
Yeah. Oh boy, if Dak hits his free agency right now, teams would fall over themselves to go get Dak Prescott.
They're going to give him $50 million.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close to it.
So
if Daniel Jones is going to get about 40, you don't think Dak will get 50?
Okay. Listen,
in this market.
Listen. Look what Dallas did with them. What did they do? What did they accomplish? Absolutely nothing. And at some point you got to say, and you're looking at a guy like Brock Purdy. That almost, probably barring injury, could have been representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying.
Don't look at it like that.
They don't look at it.
Okay. Purdy was the Niners' third choice of quarterback this year. They ended up having to start. They got lucky.
I understand that, but it's some teams that have a philosophy that you can win with a quarterback on a rookie deal and get better players around him, a la Jalen Hurts,
right?
A la Brock Purdy, right? You can do that, and some people believe that if you put all your money into a quarterback, your degree for difficulty and mistakes are nil because now you don't have the depth. Okay. So we see, like you heard Michael Parsons, hey, everybody that left in the playoffs got guys on rookie deals.
Right.
I understand that you can do a lot worse than Dak Prescott, but you also can decide to build behind a defense, a run game, and a lot of good players because now you can depend on having depth.
Go ahead, D-Wood.
I'm going to say this. The reality is, I would say two-thirds.
Like so little in your hand.
Well, that's just what it is. Now, I would say the reality is like 2/3 of the league don't have a quarterback.
Right.
And so, at the end of the day, regardless of what you think of Dak Prescott, it's all about leverage.
Okay.
It's supply and demand.
There's not many
quarterbacks out here.
If he can't scare the Cowboys into extending him, right, then he can scare somebody else.
Exactly.
Right, but I get nervous, right? The cautionary tale is looking at a guy like Russell Wilson, right?
Yes.
And you start to slow down and you start to lose your ability to make people miss in the pocket, which Dak is a guy that's injured. He's getting older.
Right.
When that happens, you get stuck with one of those deals, you are handicapping your organization.
But very few teams are going to be willing to do what Seattle did and say, we don't think this is a $50 million a year player, so we're going to get rid of him and try something else at lower cost. That may be what they should do, but very few teams are operating.
You're right. And if you really step back and think about it, look how well it worked out for Seattle. I mean, Seattle wound up in the playoffs while Denver was busy
look how much
firing
salary
the coach
cap space
before
they
the
have.
season ended.
Yes.
Right. And they've
Now
got
they
the
gotta
draft
sign
picks,
Geno.
and they've got everything else.
Right.
Look, that's the reality of the situation. The bottom line of it is this. It's pretty simple. And look, it's funny what you say. Do you remember when we used to talk about Dak? Is that we don't talk about Dak every single day because it's a fascinating situation. I think it is reasonable to say that as of this moment, both the coach and the quarterback, regardless of what the owners are saying, the coach and the quarterback will most likely both be playing for their jobs or working for their jobs this season in Dallas.
Right, so you're saying, right, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy gets fired next year, you're going to be looking for a new head coach.
Right.
Who's to say? So you're saying that head coach doesn't have an option to get his quarterback? You have to structure it where if you decide to make a move, that coach has an option. The reason why I believe D'Amico Ryan didn't take that job is because he didn't want to get handicapped and stuck with Russell Wilson. And if you look at their body types, you look at their game, it's eerily similar that can be Dak Prescott's future.
That's interesting. Yeah, Houston might be a better job because you can pick your quarterback.
And they fired 3 black quarterbacks, 2 black coaches in a row.
Yeah,
D'Amico Ryan was like, I'd rather go there than go to Denver.
Anytime you say aloud the words Houston might be a better job, you know we've entered a very strange territory.
Right.
Speaking of Cowboys coaches and people who aren't, Sean Payton isn't. Very notably, he's now headed to Denver. Can he resurrect Russell and take the Broncos back to the bowl? We'll talk about that. Plus, Aaron Rodgers, could he reunite with one of his favorite targets?